Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kura Isagami, your resident Tinkerer and Medarotter, and this is the Medarots News Network, bringing you all the latest developments and happenings with our favorite pet fighting robot series. Now, this week, as we wrap out the final week of September, we have a pretty nice event that is introducing not one, not two, but three scaly dragon types that have one thing in color, and that is the color blue. One model in particular has not seen the light of day since the days of Medarots 3 and 4, with this being their first official 3D debut, no less. Now, in addition to this, we do also have a very nice event to commemorate the introduction and reruns of very popular events, especially in competitive meta, that will be making reruns for this event as well. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right into what was announced for this week's episode, Rise of the Azure Dragons. Starting up the line is the returning from the days of Medarots 3 and 4, and that is SRU-0 Longan, with a kit of First Aid, Double Field Repair, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Fairy Charge, which, explained simply, will buff Evade relative to the amount of traps and plants applied to the field. In addition to this, Longan also is fully capable of a meta change form into a more Saurian type of appearance, and in this form he gains a kit of Melt, Restore, Rebirth, Sea Legs, and the Fix Plus leg ability. So already right from start, going to be a very nice addition to anyone in need of a healer type, especially one that can balance between field repair and, say, Restore or Rebirth to keep everyone alive and healthy on the field. So definitely a very good case of Particle in this case, but without the defensive capabilities essentially. Behind him, we do also have a brand new Leviathan type being introduced and designed by Tagro, who also was in charge of a lot of Fives designs, and as well as in fairly recent, Dureza Dieci's design. And that is LWT-01 Mirage Levia, with a kit of Perfect Guard, Double Hyper Freeze, which is a new skill, Sea Legs, and the leg ability of Elusive. So already right from start, going to be very nice to see me Leviathan get a new brother in his series. And Hyper Freeze, just to explain it briefly, is essentially just a stronger variant of the traditional ailment, but it is packing pierce damage naturally and innately instead of the original ailment that does not. So going to definitely step up a lot of games when it comes to ailment-based fighting, especially since with the Full Metal Panic collaboration, we also had the introduction of Buff Trap, which will make healing moves like Stat Cleanse very tricky to use efficiently if that is applied to the field. In addition to this as well, just for the sake of mentioning as a note, the Full Metal Panic collaboration models, Kashin Les, Silbalile, and Urzatine, will officially be closing at the end of this, when this week starts this coming Thursday. So if you've not had a chance to collect any of those models yet, this is essentially your last chance to do so before they disappear for good. In addition to these two newcomers, we do also see the rerun of everyone's favorite and ever popular Stag Beetle starter from Medarot 5, KWG-0C Shinzan, with a kit of Radar Sight, Sword, Pile, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Straight. In addition to these three, and the rerun of Shinzan, we are also seeing reruns of the very popular Archangel and Archdevil types that have really massively shaken up the meta and a lot of very difficult EX trials in recent. Starting up the line, of course, is AAG-0 Particle, with a kit of Mirror Guard, Stat Cleanse, Rebirth, Biped Legs, and the Auto Repair leg ability. And of course is capable of a meta change form into a tank-based design with a kit of Counter Guard, Super Repair, Time Attack, and the leg ability of Holy Grace. In addition to Particle, the Archdevil type Grain ADV-0 also makes a rerun with a kit of Metaphor Seal, Confusion, Static, Biped Legs, and the Blowbeat leg ability. Now, like Particle, Grain also is capable of a meta change form into a floating tank-based design with a kit of Pile, Destroy, Count-Attack, Float Legs, and the leg ability of Adversity, which makes for a very good antithesis and very stark difference between the two, of course, as Angel and Devil. Now, all 5 models that we have going live this week, all of which are fantastic one way or another. There really is no major drawback, no major priority over who you should pull for first, aside from, of course, the collaboration models, as this is your last chance to get them before these models do go live. But outside of that, all 5 of the models presented here for this coming week are all very good, very powerful, and very useful in one way or another, and their ultimate viability will be completely up to you as the player. Now, in terms of fierce battles we have this week, it looks like we're going to be getting a lot of aquatic-based legs with a lot of varied skills in between. Starting the lineup is BBS0 Bastroyer with a kit of Triple Destroy, Shooting variant, Sea Legs, and the Adapter leg ability. Next to him, we have KAP01 Kappa Lord with a kit of Beam, Double Anti-Sea, Sea Legs, and the Forester leg ability. And then last but not least, we have BTA0 Mekong Narob, the fighting betta fish type, with a kit of Guard Boost, Double Provoke, Sea Legs, and the Blow Beat leg ability. Now, of the three that we have here, because these models are free, they are absolutely worth going after anyway, just to collect. But I'd honestly say there are a lot of skills as well that can definitely make team building very easy across the board too. Bastroyer, who I gave the MVP of the week in particular, is definitely going to be one to collect and farm because Destroy, none of his parts are heavy, which means they have ultimate flexibility anywhere on a team that needs a shield buster one way or another. They're going to be very good for getting rid of any pesky shields that try to get in your way, especially since you can fit any of his parts anywhere, and even if they are expensive to raise, Destroy does not discriminate. All you need to do is use it and let it do its magic from there. If I had to give a close second to anybody, it probably would be Kappa Lord, just for this week primarily, since we do have a lot of bots that have sea legs or are capable of transforming into sea legs. Now, in terms of the event itself, as mentioned, but before we do get to that, we were also released with the teaser and announcement of two new super rare Medarots joining the pool, and that is Mizuchi of the Azure Dragon, with a special skill of buffing evade relative to your charge percentage, similar to, say, Beam Sword, or Full Charge, or Laser, or anything that gets any kind of buff. Actually, I'd say even similar to the B-Loader ability. This would actually buff your evade even higher and make it harder to hit you with it, or more likely that you could graze a hit. And then, of course, Medarot Rentaro is also getting a super rare form with a special ability that, when activated, will buff the damage dealt by Gatling-based attacks for every consecutive use for a maximum of plus 1500 bonus damage. Now, normally, you may not want to use Gatling super heavily, since it is a scattered AoE attack, but it doesn't look like it discriminates in particular between Gatling, Mega Gatling, or Giga Gatling. So there is a good chance it might consider all three of them with it being a super rare model, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rentaro is only specific towards standard Gatling all the same. Needless to say, both of these Medarots will also be joining the general pool, much like we have the Summer Festival ladies the last couple of weeks will be as well. So there really is no major rush to collecting either the Medarots this time around, and it's more a case of if you want to collect one for the sake of its ability or the passives that it offers. Now, with the event itself, it is relatively straightforward, much like most events are up to this point, but with this event in particular, aside from standard rewards such as rubies and cyplasium and other resources you can top off on, you can also have a chance to collect normal and rare forms of Medarot Mizuchi himself, LWT0 Mi Leviathan, the original Leviathan type, with a kit of Hold, Double Static, Sea Legs, and the Rumbling leg ability. And then, of course, we also have a chance to collect the Kraken medal as another one to add to our libraries. Of course, with masteries in melee, shooting, and defense, and leg masteries in multi, wield, and sea-based leg types. So honestly, these three are going to be very interesting to see introduced as Medarot and Medarot and Metal in this case. And of course, with this being an event, there's really no reason not to go after them because you will be earning the parts for them anyway. And in terms of the event itself, unlike previous events, the previous couple events where they were ticket-based, where having only one part and encouraging mixed sets was the best priority, in this one, this event will be milestone-based, which means you'll just keep collecting rewards as you reach certain milestone thresholds of point collections. That being said, it is best recommended and encouraged for this event that you use pure sets and try to maximize those where possible. For Medarot sets themselves, Longan and Mirage Levia, of course, will be giving the highest bonus at 15% each per part, naturally for a highest bonus of 60% each when using as a pure set. Of course, Particle, Grain, and Shinzan will grant the next highest bonus under that at about 10% each. Mi Leviathan, once you collect him, will grant a 6% buff per part used on the model. And then, of course, all three of the Fierce Battle sets, when fully capped, will give you a 6% buff up each. For the Medarots, Super rare Madarotters Mizuchi, Rintaro, Arase, and Ikki will grant you the highest bonuses. Mizuchi and Rintaro, of course, giving you a 20% bonus, Arase and Ikki giving you a 15% bonus. After that, the rare versions of the four mentioned will give you a 10 to 12% bonus each, and then the normal version will give you a 5 to 7% bonus each. So I have to say this event's going to be rather flexible in terms of how people are going to be able to make the most of point bonuses. So I think this event is going to be rather generous right from start once it does officially begin in the coming week. Of course, as mentioned, pure sets will be greatly encouraged through this week, so if you say collect Particle, it is going to be very easy to use and collect that bonus, since you're going to be collecting all of Particle's parts at once, since she is a meta change model. Now, aside from that, the other big piece of news we got was that, much like Crotojill got a couple weeks ago, Shinzan is officially getting the tune-up treatment as well. Some of his bonuses include major emphasis on his success stat, which of course is your likelihood of landing hits and crits on top of that, which means he's going to be a lot more accurate and precise with his strikes than he ever was before, making him even more so a threat on the field than he was even before as a well-rounded Stag Beetle type in his family. Now, on the community front, we are still always looking for translators for the Medarot 3 and Medarot Reloaded translation projects. There has recently been talk of wanting to start working on Medarots 4, 5, and Navi, or even hints of maybe wanting to even consider Medarot DS as possibilities, and as much as we would love to, we still need the manpower in order to do so. That being said, if you do have any knowledge in coding or cleaning or Japanese, translators especially are what we are looking for. You're more than welcome to reach out to me, or join us on our Discord in the link provided and in the comments below, and we can get you up to speed on everything that has been done and everything that still needs finished up to this point in order so that we can finish Medarot 3 and even start working on other projects. Now, with the weekly art highlights here on the MNN, I found one of these pieces actually just today, and that is this piece over here on the right, actually, by this Twitter user, for this wonderful piece of Metal Beetle and the Kaito Retort, or Phantom Renegade as he is known in the anime. It is very nice to see very light pieces of these two in particular. And then this Twitter user here, Suda Takashi, of course, who worked on this piece of Black Lester, who is a lesser known cockroach type in the Medarot series. This is actually one of two, if I recall correctly. This one in particular debuted in Medarot Navi specifically and was an offense-based type. So of course it is nice to see another ambiguous model get more recognition, and of course highlighting these artists to add more Medarot art to your feed. But that being said, of course, I believe that covers just about everything in this week's episode, so I do appreciate you all once again for stopping by, just as you always have every week. If you'd like to know more, you can follow us below on Facebook at the Medarot News Network page and the Metabots Forever community there, which has just recently breached over 1,600 members. So we are still a continually growing community, even if it isn't super active on there, but it does still show the world and Imagineer that our community is strong and we are still here supporting and rooting for them. You can also reach out to me on Discord in the link provided, and this is the best way to keep the closest ear to the action on anything related to Medarot. That may be any new merchandise, any updates, game translations, my weekly episodes, new art. This is the first place you will see it before it finds anywhere else. You can also reach out to me personally on Twitter at Isagamikura, so if you have any questions, feedback, or comments, or have anything you'd like to talk about, my DMs are always open for that very reason, so don't be a stranger and feel free to stop in and say hello. Do also reach out and follow these wonderful people in the Medarot community as well. Twitter user Tagro at TagroChang, who has been a very well-known and well-loved official Medarot designer who made a lot of designs for Medarot 5, as was revealed when Dureza Diechi, the new diamond type, came out fairly recently, but also was in charge of Mirage Levia's design as well that we're getting in this new event. And do also follow Twitter user Pikugatu as well, who has a very wonderful and very light style for their art, especially for a lot of Medarot art too. Definitely worth following both of these in your feeds. Keep up to date with anything related to Medarot, or even just keep it in your feeds to poke your head on. That being said, I do believe that covers just about everything like I said, so thanks again for stopping by, folks. It's always happy to have you in for a visit. Until next time, this is your host, Kura Isagami of the Medarot News Network, signing out.